Hi and welcome to Drops of Science. I'm Marco, I'm a PhD student in molecular biology, and today I want to try to clarify what is the situation regarding the vaccines against SARS-CoV-2, therefore the vaccine that hopefully will protect us from Covid19 and put an end to the pandemic. When we talk about development and testing of some drug, like also vaccine, we can define two big phases. The first one is testing on animals and the second one is testing on humans. And depending on how these two phases go, then we can call a vaccine a success or a failure. At the moment, there are roughly 200 vaccines that are ongoing testing, but only 50 of those, a little bit less than 50, they actually are on human phase testing. Roughly 10 of those, so the number is shrinking even more, are in a very late stage of testing. Basically are very close to being released to the public. Since there are so many vaccines around at the moment, I don't have time, of course, to go through all of them, but I will take two as an example because they are in the late stage of testing on humans, so they're very promising, but we have to make some clarification about them. And I'm talking about the vaccine from AstraZeneca in collaboration with the University of Oxford and the vaccine from Pfizer in collaboration with BioNTech. So these two vaccines seem to be very promising, and also there were some statements on the newspaper telling how good these vaccines are at the moment. However, for both of them, the only results we have and that are publicly available, so the scientific community can consult them and decide whether they are good or not, are the results coming from the animal testing. This means that all the data regarding humans at the moment, they have to be taken as a pinch of salt because we cannot have a look at them, so we can only base our judgments on the statements that people involved in the trials are actually releasing to the press and to the social media. Okay, but what do the animal testing results tell us? So for both of them, it seems that these vaccines are able to prevent symptoms. However, there is a big difference between the two at the moment. The vaccine from AstraZeneca, for example, it seems that it is not able to prevent viral replication, which means that despite we do not get symptoms, we are still infectious because the virus is still able to replicate in our superior respiratory tract, like the nose, for example, and if we encounter somebody else which is not vaccinated, then we can infect this person. The vaccine from Pfizer instead, it seems to be able to prevent also viral replication. And this would be perfect because if this would apply to humans too, a person that gets vaccinated with the Pfizer vaccine, it would be free from the symptoms, but would also avoid infecting other people. However, as we said, these are all results coming from the animal testing. All the results coming from the humans at the moment are still ongoing and there is no public data available. This means we have to wait probably next year, middle 2021 probably, to actually get definitive results. There are also other questions that we need to answer to. One of them is, for example, how long the immunity lasts. And at the moment, the answer is very simple, is we don't know. It can be that after one vaccination, we are immunized for our lifetime, but it can also be that actually we need to get a vaccine every 6 months or every year or every 2 years. It's very hard to say at the moment, so we just don't know, we have to wait. Another important aspect is whether these vaccines are able to immunize also older people. Again, from the data that have been released, it seems that both vaccines are actually able to immunize also older people that of course are the most fragile, so if the vaccine is effective on those fraction of population, it's one of the best things we can achieve. But again, we don't have clear data about this, so we have to wait and see in the future how it will develop. Besides the medical aspect of the vaccine, there are also other important things that we have to keep in mind. Because if you think about the effort of producing all these vials and then releasing them to the public, it means that they have to be transported in different countries. And the vaccine from AstraZeneca, for example, is based on a viral vector which is kind of stable at 4 degrees, the temperature of a fridge, for example. So it's very easy probably to transport this kind of vaccine around because the transportation around the world at 4 degrees is not a big deal because we do it every day with food, for example. And even if it was a minus 20 degrees, you can see at the supermarket stuff being in the minus 20 freezer and of course it's being transported around. But for example, for the vaccine from Pfizer, this is based on a messenger RNA, which is an extremely unstable molecule and has to be stored and transported at minus 80 degrees. This of course is a bigger challenge because now transporting something at minus 80 degrees is extremely problematic. So in summary, there are many vaccines around and some of them very promising and almost ready to be released, but all the data we have so far are coming from the animal testing. So it's very hard to say how effective this vaccine will really be in reality. This is important to keep in mind because it's good to be optimistic in this case, but we must not think that in January 2021 the vaccine will be available to everybody. It's not like that. We have to wait a bit more. We have to keep a strong mind and know that for a few months we'll still have the pandemic around, and before the end of 2021 the situation will still be very complicated. Okay, for today that's it. I hope I help you clarify a little bit in your head what's happening with the vaccines. And if you have any questions regarding this topic or other scientific topic, please leave it in the comment below, or you can find me on Facebook and Instagram too. The page is also called Drops of Science. And thank you very much for your attention, and I'll see you next time.